Hello everyone, I'm Minglu Zhao from Dr. Cao Gao's lab at UCLA. Today I'll be presenting our work titled Sharing is Not Needed, Modeling Animal Coordinated Hunting with Reinforcement Learning. So reinforcement learning is a state-of-the-art artificial intelligence algorithm with agents learning from trial and error. Multi-agent reinforcement learning settings extend single-agent settings by assigning the same reward function to agents, effectively letting the agents share the group reward. And under this approach, the algorithm has successfully generated cooperative behavior in many different domains. However, from a cognitive perspective, cooperation is more complicated than simply sharing rewards. Many factors, including punishment, commitment, fairness, and ownership, are considered as necessary to support human cooperation. So with this contrast of human social intelligence and reinforcement learning approach, we're curious that without these complicated concepts and simply through sharing rewards, is the coordination model through multi-agent reinforcement learning robust? Furthermore, we're interested in the idea of sharing rewards from an animal cognition perspective. So evidence has shown that sharing rewards is actually very beneficial for chimpanzees. Sharing can encourage group hunting participation and reduce backing harassment. Also, chimpanzees share for reciprocity, for exchanging meat for sex, and also to secure dominance. So now let's take a closer look at this chimpanzee hunting illustration. Here the chimpanzees are trying to hunt red colobus, which is denoted in the middle, and each bar here represents a tree. Observational studies conclude that the chimpanzee's behavior during coordinated hunting can be summarized to 4 different roles. One is the driver, which initiates the hunt and pushes the prey's movement to one direction. One is the blocker, and the blocker tries to prevent the prey from dispersing to different directions. One is the chaser, which runs underneath the tree. And the last role is the ambusher, which would try to block their flight. Some studies claim that chimpanzees are truly cooperative due to these roles. However, there's also the argument that sharedness is actually not required for this coordination. So in this case, selfish chimpanzees who only try to maximize their individual benefits can also achieve coordination. So to be more specific, imagine a scenario where there is one chimpanzee playing the role of a driver. So now here comes a second chimp. It can either choose to be a driver, which would make it succeed 20% of the time, or it can choose to be a blocker, which has a success rate of 80% in this scenario. So for the second chimp, taking the role of a blocker would be more beneficial for itself. And in this case, agents that only care about individual rewards can also show coordinated behavior, meaning that sharing is actually not required for coordination. So now this brings us to the second motivation question, which is, given this debate, is sharing necessary for coordination? So to summarize, our work is based on the following 2 questions from both a human social intelligence perspective and an animal behavior perspective, and we're interested in the exact roles played by sharing rewards. To test these questions, we use a coordinated hunting task as illustrated over here. The red dots represent the predators, and the green dot represents the prey. 2 gray circles represent the obstacles that agents cannot move through. In this environment, we have multiple predators and 1 prey. The goal of the predator is to catch the prey, and the goal of the prey is to run away from the predators. So the prey to hunt is smart, since it is also modeled as an intelligent agent trying to escape from the predators. In this case, agents have continuous actions and continuous positions, and the predator have individual action costs. The predators are rewarded only after kills, which happen in 20% of all biting instances. In our experiment, we evaluate factors that have evolutionary importance, which are the following 4 factors. So the first one is the reward distribution after kill. Here we introduce the concept of the predator's selfish index, which manipulates reward distribution as a function of the distance to kill. The constant k here denotes the minimum distance between two agents. Here is an illustration of the relationship between distance to kill and the unnormalized percentage of rewards obtained by an agent. So in this case, purely selfish agents have an infinite selfish index and will only reward itself when it kills the prey, since itself is the one closest to the prey. And purely unselfish agents have a selfish index of 0 and will evenly split the reward to all the predators. So now let's take a look at an example scenario as illustrated in the right figure. Now suppose a predator just successfully killed the prey, and now it's time to allocate the rewards. First, the distance to kill is calculated and denoted as from D1 to D4. And here we take selfish indices equal to 0 and 2 as examples. 0 selfish index is denoted by red color, and blue color represents selfish index equals to 2. So after plugging in the distance to kill to the equations, we can get the following allocated rewards for each agent as denoted in this figure. So from the numbers, we can see that a selfish index of 0 means the agent evenly splits the reward. And when the selfish index is 2, the agent is sensitive to distance and will give more rewards to those closer to the killing scene. The next factor we're interested in is the free rider effects. The free rider problem is a critical challenge for coordination. It refers to the scenario when some agents in a group receive the reward, even though they did not put any efforts into achieving the success. This is especially the case for reward sharing, since agents can still obtain rewards from the group even without individual contributions and thus may lack the motivation to coordinate with other group members. In our experiment, we manipulate the severity of free rider problems through different levels of action costs, which is defined to be proportional to the force exerted. So Fi here is the force exerted by agent I, and A denotes the action cost ratio in the specific condition, and Ci will be the action cost for agent I. The next factor we're interested in is the hunting party size. Evidence in animal studies has shown that hunting party size is positively correlated with the success of hunters for many different species. And here we test how the reward distribution interacts with the group size by having different numbers of predators in the group. Lastly, when we manipulate the hunting risks in the scenarios, hunting risks have been regarded as a significant factor influencing the hunting behavior for many different species. And here we manipulate the hunting risks by varying the speed of the prey. So to summarize, here are the 4 factors we manipulated, including reward distribution, free rider effects, hunting party size, and hunting risks. For modeling agents' behavior, we adapt the algorithm of multi-agent deep deterministic policy gradient. This is a cognitively intelligent algorithm for the following reasons. First, each agent learns its own model instead of having a unified policy copied for all the cooperative agents. And second, the training involves cognitive constraints. So when taking actions, each agent can only refer to its own observation without accessing observations from other agents. And next, each agent treats others as actual agents instead of random objects in the environment, and then they will predict what others will do next, and the process can be interpreted as a primitive version of theory of mind. Lastly, the action evaluation is based on the context of all the agent states and predicted actions. Next, I will show some demos for our training results. First, we look at the result when having a small group with 3 predators and no action costs. In this case, agents under both settings can successfully coordinate. Next, we look at the result when having a large group with 6 predators and still no action cost. We can see that agents with individual rewards can still coordinate. However, agents that share rewards fail to coordinate and have a worse performance than when the group size is small. Here is the resulting plot we obtained. We look at the interaction effects of group size and reward mechanisms on hunting performance, which is represented by the mean episode kill and denoted on the vertical axis. So line A over here represents the performance of selfish agents. We can see that as the number of predators increases, the performance of the group increases almost linearly. However, unselfish agents' performance remains the same or even drops when having a larger group, as noted here by line B. And from line C here, we're taking the group size of 6 as an example. So we can see that the more selfish the predators are, the better their performance. This change is monotonic, with the most selfish predators achieving the best performance. Next, we look at the effects of action costs on coordination performance. Here are the demos for a medium-sized group with 0.01 action cost. We can see that coordination for agents with individual rewards is still successful. However, when agents share rewards, there is almost no movement for the entire group, indicating a strong free rider problem. In our results, so we found that the performance of all agents decreases as the action cost increases. Here we see line A is for unselfish agents and line B is for selfish agents. Increasing action costs hurts unselfish agents more than selfish agents. We can see that unselfish agents fail to obtain any rewards as the action cost reaches 0.01 level, whereas selfish agents can still maintain a high level of performance even under the largest action cost condition. Now we look at agents force exerted during the episodes, which is denoted here in the vertical axis. Still, here line A is for unselfish agents and line B is for selfish agents. We can see that more selfish agents have their action force less sensitive to action costs. The most unselfish agents decide almost not to move at all when there is a small action cost. Such a result strongly indicates the presence of the free rider problem under the reward sharing mechanism. Lastly, as the speed of the prey increases, the predator's performance decreases under all reward mechanisms, with the most selfish agents performing the best in all conditions. As a result, going back to our motivation questions, we conclude that first, coordination through sharing rewards is not robust. And second, sharing is not necessary for coordination, and it even undermines coordination. Our results thus indicate that the effects of sharing rewards cannot be fully unlocked with a generic reinforcement learning algorithm. Without concepts that humans intuitively understand, such as commitment, fairness, responsibility, or ownership, sharing rewards alone cannot enable robust coordination in non-human animals. Such a result highlights the computational challenge of cooperation that humans must address during evolution. Moreover, our discovery also demonstrates the importance of challenging AI with insights from animal social cognition, which could effectively review the weak spots of existing AI. This interdisciplinary approach may allow for AI to interact with humans in more intuitive and trustworthy ways. So that's all for my presentation. Thanks for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions.